The International Committee of the Red Cross presents Yemen, Land of Suffering, a production of the ICRC Information Service. This is Sana'a, the capital of the new Arab Republic of the Yemen, one of the most picturesque towns in the world and one of the least accessible. The high surrounding mountains, although arid, account for this area's relatively healthy climate. 3,000 years ago, the Queen of Sheba reigned wisely over this land, which the Romans later called Arabia Felix, Happy Arabia. In modern times, few are the Western travelers who have been there. Behind the dried mud ramparts, some 50,000 people are crowded in their houses with white decorative framed windows. Their civilization, though it remained aloof from the rest of the world, has produced palaces and monuments of great purity of style. Who could remain indifferent to the beauty of the great mosque and its minarets, marvels of Zaydiya architecture? In the streets and marketplaces, there is the usual noisy bustle of Arab towns, but uppermost in everybody's mind is the war between the royalists and the republicans. Towards the end of 1962, civil war broke out in the Yemen. World opinion was not unduly stirred, but the International Committee of the Red Cross undertook to bring assistance to the victims of this fratricidal struggle. True to its tradition of neutrality and impartiality, the ICRC felt it had a duty to be present, both among the tribes which had remained loyal to the Imam el-Badr and among the Republicans and their Egyptian allies. For many months, its two delegates at Sana'a have been successfully carrying out a difficult task. On this side of the front, however, no medical assistance from the Geneva Committee was required. The medical service of the United Arab Republic operates several hospitals for its troops and the Yemeni population. It is not the Red Cross which is in evidence here. The ambulances are marked with the sign of the Red Crescent. But although the emblem is different, the spirit is the same. Whether Republican or Royalist, in suffering, men are united in brotherhood. This hospital under canvas, a few miles from the mountainous region held by the royalist tribes, is not far from the fighting. The atmosphere of calm is deceptive. Sheltered from the blazing sun lie men in pain, some perhaps dying. But there are also men who still follow the example set by Henri Dunant 100 years ago. For these gallant stretcher-bearers, human fellowship is in the natural order of things. War raged long in this village not far from Sana'a. Some of the population fled as soon as the shooting began. Those left behind continue in dread to till the stony ground, while the elders pray to Allah for merciful intervention. Here too, war brings fear and suffering, famine and death. Ever since their arrival, the Egyptians have guarded the entrance to this huge pit to prevent the people from going to this foul quagmire. For generations, the local inhabitants have drawn water from it, oblivious of the deadly germs to which they were exposing themselves. Now, the medical service of the United Arab Republic brings the drinking water to the village every day, and the people all agree that water brought by lorry tastes better than water from a morass. Every morning in Sana'a, these 600 war orphans go singing to the milk center. They too stricken by the ravages of war, are in need of assistance from the ICRC delegation. Previously, they were totally lacking in the very commodity which could do them most good, milk. On arrival at the milk center, the children patiently wait their turn in groups of 10. Watched by their guardians, who also welcome this godsend, they enjoy to the full this beverage to which the delegates from Geneva have added vitamins. To make up for the shortage of cups and glasses, sterilized empty food tins have been converted into drinking mugs. Other countries, other customs. This applies to the educational system also. In the Yemen, the recalcitrant student may be tethered for a week. "200 boys are living in this palace at the Republican government's expense. They are the sons of tribal chiefs who have espoused the cause of the new regime. Their presence in the capital stems from a long tradition. Their position is similar to that of the pages, which in olden days the lords left with their sovereign as a pledge of loyalty." For these boys too, the ICRC has brought into Sana'a tons of powdered milk. Distribution takes place every afternoon in a public square. Tomorrow, these children of the young republic will form the elite of their country, which for centuries has remained on the fringe of progress. Behind these barred windows are some special internees awaiting better days. These are women of the royal family. The Red Cross delegates regularly bring them relief and news of their relatives. Assistance to prisoners of war is one of the ICRC's traditional tasks. Often, after lengthy negotiations, it manages to arrange for the liberation of some of them. What welcome the ICRC delegate receives when he brings to these men the news that they will be able to return to their own country. Their smile is his greatest reward. This moment of joy, they owe it to the universally respected emblem flying here high in the Sana'a sky. In the north of the Yemen, there was neither equipment nor personnel for the care of the royalist wounded. The ICRC undertook an even heavier task than in Sana'a, the setting up of a field hospital at Ukt. Here, among this outcrop of rocks, lies Ukt in the desert sands extending further than the eye can see across the Arabian Peninsula. A few months ago, only some Bedouin tribes and camel caravans frequented this spot. Today, there are 7 doctors and a staff of more than 20, all recruited by the Swiss Red Cross, working there without respite. Every day, the royalist wounded and sick converge upon this canvas village, making their way by lorry, camel, donkey or foot to this haven of human fellowship. For most of them, it is the first time in their lives that they have seen a doctor. Women and children also stand beneath the burning sun, sometimes for hours, patiently waiting their turn. Often, they are accompanied by their husbands. And even when time passes slowly, they remain patient in the traditional way of the Orient. Each month, over 1,000 patients, victims of war and sickness, go into this polyclinic tent. These veiled Bedouin women do not know what the ICRC is, but they know what it does, and that is why they come to Ukt. Every self-respecting Yemenite carries his jumbia, a dagger richly decorated in nickel and silver. One of the most delicate tasks facing the head of the hospital is to maintain good relations with the local dignitaries. Today, they are bringing in a man who has had shrapnel in his thigh for several months. The limb is gradually becoming paralyzed. It must be operated upon tomorrow. Twice a day, the doctors visit the war tents in which the most seriously injured are lying. This young specialist in internal medicine, as he does his round with the medical orderly and an interpreter, is welcomed as a friend by these men who have been stricken by the misfortunes of war. There are as many sick as there are wounded, and diagnosis is often a very difficult matter. In this, the Arab interpreter's role is indispensable. Without him, it would take much longer to diagnose the case of malaria, bilharziosis, or stomach ulcers. The chronic malnutrition, which is the loss of these tribes, does not help matters. There are about 90 patients in the hospital, from the fighting area in the east and from isolated villages in the interior of the Yemen. Some toiled on foot for several days, running a fever of 104 degrees. Little did the ICRC know when setting up its field hospital among the population, whose conceptions are still medieval, that it would stimulate a new idea, the idea that sickness and injuries may be cured. The people who formerly were resigned to suffering and death now flock in their hundreds to Ukt. For these Yemeni, relief of suffering, healing and cure are miracles. Their gratitude to the doctors and nurses is touching to behold. Shukran, shukran, thank you, they repeat after being tended by the man in white. In this sanctuary for the suffering, there are a number of cases of shock. They have lived through the nightmare of war, they have survived air raids, they have seen those dearest to them killed. Microscopic analysis when the temperature is over 120 degrees in the shade is no easy matter, as this medical assistant has found out, but perhaps her life depends on the accuracy of her work. Hundreds of patients have been under this modern X-ray apparatus in this tent. This warrior undoubtedly finds it very extraordinary. But why should he be afraid? He has faith in his God and confidence in those who are nursing him. In this negative, as in others, the radiologist can read the misfortunes and suffering of a people. A casualty is brought in from the front this very morning. He has been seriously wounded in the stomach by shrapnel. Here in this white cabin, called the cleaner box, a marvelous example of technology in the service of medicine, the surgeons will save his life. The whole unit had to be hauled across the rough tracks of Saudi Arabia and the Yemen for 15 days. The operating theater within is only 6 foot by 9, but it is equipped with the latest devices, a sterilizing plant, running water, and air conditioning, all of which are essential for work in the desert. Now, with lancet, forceps, aseptic thread, and the other implements of his profession, the masked white-robed surgeon and his assistants carry out operations at Ukt just like in any hospital in a modern city, whilst an anesthetist keeps a watchful eye on her apparatus. Several hundred surgical operations have been performed here. In order to undertake this humanitarian task, which it alone was able to assume, the ICRC relied on official and generous support in the land of Henri Dunant. Indeed, the Swiss Red Cross has supplied the largest part of the medical and technical staff working at Ukt. Other national Red Cross societies have sent doctors and nurses to lend their colleagues a hand. Lost in the vast expanse of desert wastes, these volunteers, doctors and assistants, accomplish a difficult but magnificent task. Before coming here, this nurse served the Red Cross cause in the Congo and in Nepal. She must have endless patience and dedication to inculcate the rules of modern hygiene into these outcasts of fortune. But the gleam of gratitude in these eyes is not dimmed by the flush of fever. This Bedouin woman, the mother of several children, has seldom had an opportunity to wash with soap. This, for her, is indeed a luxury. There's no keeping in bed this old stalwart who had to undergo an operation on his leg. He soon became a popular figure in this little colony at Ukt. This is a big day for the hospital. A plane has arrived from Switzerland with several tons of equipment, food and medical supplies. But this is an exceptional case. For the sake of economy, most supplies come by lorry, a long haul lasting several days and not without danger. Sometimes the sandstorms are so strong that the tents are inadequate to protect stocks, which must be tucked away between the rocks and covered with large plastic sheets. There are two electric generating units, one to operate the cleaner box, the other a source of power for the lighting in all the tents. In the open-air kitchen, the cook has to rely on his two wood-burning stoves, but the food is appetizing nevertheless. The main difficulty is the water supply. It never rains at Ukt, and the nearest well is 15 miles away. A water truck makes the trip every day to bring back the precious liquid. The running of this hospital in the desert requires a staff of 30 people and a great deal of money. It also requires a high ideal, even for the most humble of chores. The stress of work and the tropical heat make it impossible for the members of the medical team to stay for more than 3 months at Ukt. But when they leave, making way for fresh replacements, they have the satisfaction of having carried on to good effect the Red Cross struggle against suffering. Thus, day after day, in this bruised and battered country, the men and women of the ICRC are at work so that, in the words of Henri Dunant, the world shall not perish in hate.